Good afternoon, Jay Bo here, living with strength and honor. And I wanted to share this message this afternoon. I've got an appointment a little bit that just hit me like this idea that is just like any sales pitch that you go into, right? And that is, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. Think about that for a second, right? That if you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, you know what you get, right? You get the exact same results. And yet we all desire some kind of change. Like all of us are looking for some kind of change in some place in our lives, either in our businesses to grow or our bank accounts to go through our professional efforts, or maybe it's in our relationship with our spouse, or maybe the way that we communicate and work with our children and how they're running and you know what they're doing. Maybe it's in your body and how that functions. Maybe putting together that whole mind-body thing for you, the whole mind-body-spirit thing, you know, getting together and aligning it and creating some congruency. Maybe that's your thing. It doesn't matter what your thing is, because if you don't make a change, then nothing changes. So people wonder why they run around like so frustrated and stressed and with this like pit up anger that comes out in weird like sideways places, like when someone passes them on the road, or you know, whatever little events that occur, little triggers that occur to us all day long. And I see people blow up and lose their fucking mind. And it's so small and trivial. And it's because we're not congruent with the things that we desire. We're not congruent with having our lives the way that we want it. So what can you do? Well, you have to choose challenge. The truth is that for many of us, the only time that you face a challenge is when one just happens up upon you, or it seems that way, right? That is just something that you know happened, occurred to you from the world, and you have to deal with this challenge. You, if that's the only time you face challenge, are not up for it. You're not capable. You're not ready. You're not prepared to deal with the challenges that come up in your life because you haven't practiced and you're not used to it. So anything out of your comfort zone is more than you can handle, and creates a ridiculous amount of stress and frustration and anger and disappointment and all of those things, right? You have to get out of your comfort zone. And as soon as you do, what happens? Well, you run smack dab face first into resistance because your brain doesn't like uncertainty. In fact, your brain dislikes uncertainty so much that it will drive off a cliff just to stay on the road that it knows. What that means is you will actually go headlong into things that you know don't serve you because it's what you're used to. Have you noticed? I'm not being accusational. I certainly have done the same thing. Like I knew for years that binge drinking and binge smoking was not good for me. I knew. Like I didn't need to go to some conference to find out, hey, drinking a fifth of bourbon on a night and a pack of cigarettes is not good for you. Yet that's what I was doing on a regular basis. Why was I doing that? Because these challenges were in my life all the time. And I wanted to avoid them. I didn't have the courage to attack a lot of them. I wanted to avoid those issues. I wanted to run away, so I would sedate. I would find reasons and places and ideas and events and things and excuses, whatever I could find, including just getting plastered so that I didn't have to think about, deal with, experience all of those feelings. That's how much you like certainty in your brain. Now, your sedation techniques might be different. Maybe you sit and stare at the television for 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 hours, watching mindless television crap, just so that you don't have to think about some of the issues that you could be solving. Maybe like you work out too much. I know people that do that. They train so much. It's like all they do that they're never home and never dealing with their spouse and their children and their finances and things because they're busy training. And it sounds like a good idea because it's supposed to be healthy, right? Yet it's still a form of sedation for them. So we all have these methods that we use to stay away from, to avoid, to back out of having to collide with the truth, which is that we know we desire change. We know that we want to manifest something new in our lives. You don't know how to manifest the courage to do it. So this challenge by choice paradigm that I talk about so often is just that. It is looking at, well, this is how the chain of events go now for me, right? There's an event. I recognize that there is an event, right? That happens, like a trigger. Then I have a particular reaction that is like emotional for me. That I get upset or angry or whatever it is, right? Sad, whatever it is that happens, right? That is always connected to really what is a reality for me, which is where my focus is and what I actually think about. Now, sometimes that focus and reality doesn't have a whole lot to do with the facts that we recognized early, but that's where our mind goes on the subject. And because of that, there's a particular response that happens over and over and over and over again. And it drives the same result that you're getting on an endless loop. Now, understanding this sequence, you can change that. You can rewire that sequence so that instead of crashing down, that you actually can elevate and reach a new result. There's a sequence that you can follow and specific tasks that you can do within that sequence that can get you to see it differently, allow you to shift your focus, which is the main piece, and let that focus guide your actions, because you know that that will eventually get you the result that you want. But none of it matters unless you take steps, unless you actually do something, because nothing changes if nothing changes. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that has some impact for you. If you want to know more about the challenge by choice paradigm, I'd be glad to discuss that with you. I'd be more than happy to have a phone conversation or a video conference with you and explain and tell you about what so many people are using right now to make big shifts and big changes in their lives. We're not talking about being motivated and getting excited for a few days and that. I'm talking about permanent, long-lasting shifts in your life. And I hope that helps. I hope we do get connected in the future. And until then, strength and honor to you.